Okay, so Zinfandel head train. This is a Zap trial here. I'm pretty happy about. If you go to, if you're interested in it at all, I just gave a talk last Thursday on campus for a thing called Wine Flavor 101D, I think it was. But everything's videotaped. You can just click it and watch them.
Yeah, those are on the regular information site there.
Somewhere.
There's a bunch. I've noticed there's all of these videos
somewhere.
there. Yeah,
so
free education.
Me talking about this one, this trial, if you're interested in Zinfandel and California wine history. So these are all head trained. These are all in St. George rootstock, purposeful. So you can see it. All these are. This is like 50% or more. Those are all getting spoon. The training of these is they're different ages because we've removed some of the selections and moved new selections into it. So this is a younger one. You can see that they're headed. So that's like a year different than this one. And this vine was headed right at this point right here. So in other words, the leader shoot was cut off here, and then let the laterals come out. All right, so this one's ready for that. So if we had the shears, we'd do it, but we don't. So we just do that.
Just break it off. Yeah.
And so now we're going to get those laterals. We're going to make a head trained vine out of that. And let's look at an old one. It's not a good time because of all the lushness and we haven't pulled any leaves out yet. You get right over on top of it. Look down inside. And to try to make them level. So when we first have that, it's going to be, each spur is going to be on normal positions, but as time goes on, we'll take the higher ones out and have and maybe Y one of the lower ones and try to get them all on some plane. There's a lot of art involved in it. They are very aesthetically pleasing to look at, especially in the winter time, and they're really cool.
Seems like canopy management would be more difficult than something like head crane thing.
Everything's more difficult. It requires more skill. Those cordon ones, man, you can teach your 3-year-old kid how to do that, right? Just cut it off here, because you take the basal one off, let the basal one be.
Yeah, leave turret two.
This you're actually trying that. I mean, I hate to try to put that term into it, but there is some aesthetics to this. There's some there's some mojo to making it look the way it's supposed to look. Mm-hmm. When we first had the Zinfandel vineyard here, we had it was over there where the empty block was. We had 4 or 5 Zinfandel head trained experts, and they all went. They're like, well, about my knee here, and head it off right about there. Okay, one guy's knees about here, one guy's knees down there, and everyone's got this. and everybody had a little bit of different twist on it. And we finally said, thank you for your input. See you guys later. And we went and did it the way we're going to want to do it. Just our way. They're very. You learn some things about grapevines with these. The wind blows always the same way here. Comes across here every afternoon. Before you know it, all the spurs are on one side of the vine. and it's hard to even understand it because actually the spurs are over there. Not that the canes go like that. They just all kind of migrate there, over time. So we have other ones. We ended up untying it and twisting it around and putting it back on the other side, and then we ended up with a complete circle. But there's a little bit of nudging, like it's another river going through the granite. Eventually, it's going to make it the way it wants to make it. It's the same sort of idea. I would not plant a vineyard like that. If I had to plant a vineyard, it costs a lot of money, and I think that it costs a lot of money just in maintaining it, and it costs a lot of money. It's not as productive as a plant. I don't remember who asked about this kind of thing, but that's my.
So you're expecting less fruit crop here?
Yeah, because sure, I got sort of a circle like this, but it's not the same as filling all this whole thing out with shoots.
Yeah.
What about for quality?
No idea. Nobody does.
So it's really just an aesthetic thing.
Huh?
Just aesthetics. That's all it is.
I tell you, I have no idea. But if you talk to people, like for instance at Ridge or something like that, they're going to tell you that this is the only way to do it.
Really?
That this is the only way to get the kind of quality that they want.
Do they do that with other varietals besides Zinfandel? Or?
In the old vineyards that they have, and they've planted some new vineyards to kind of mimic old vineyards. And it might include Alicante Boucher, Carignan, Barbera, some Zinfandel with some Petit Syrah in there. You know, one of those kind of things. They're going to do it this way.
They're doing this, yeah. They're one of the wineries that also brags about not doing filtering and fining and
I don't know.
ridge, yeah. That's the story I heard from them.
Yeah. Good for them.
And also using natural fermentation instead of adding commercial yeast. At least that's what their tasting room story was. I think on their website it says that too.
Good. No, I mean, you know, I think one of those things is kind of our problem at the same time that's good. It's interesting that people have different bents on it, but but you have to also, I think, understand that you need to have a different bent in order for you to be an individual.
They're commanding some big bucks. I was looking at the library wines were selling for like $400 a bottle or something.
They are one of the wineries that I consistently turn to. If I want to buy something that I'm very, very confident I'm going to like, that's one of the wineries I have a trial at Linton Springs, which is really great for me to visit. And I go and buy a Carignan that they make, and it's fantastic.
Their coastal Merlot is great too. I really like it.
So anyway, so they do a good job. But you know that you need to be somewhat of an individual, and the whole sea of Cabernet Sauvignons means that we don't really have a commodity called wine. We have individual wineries, and I think that's one of the reasons why we have problems generating money for research. The lettuce guys don't have the same problem, right? You don't know who grew the lettuce. You don't care who grew the lettuce.
Right.
So they're able to get themselves together and say, we're going to map the genome of lettuce because we think it's an advantage to the whole industry.
And your entire goal is vigor, right?
Well, sure.
The biggest heads you can get. And,
Well, so we suffer from that too. We don't have any kind of parameters of quality. We don't know what a good grape or a good wine is. Where the lettuce is very clear what it is.
Yeah.
And so there's no agreement about what's good wine or good grapes.
Well, that's like when we were talking about leaf roll. There was that winery that somebody in the notes in there that was part of their style, right? Was to have damaged vines that produce the quality of fruit they wanted.
I read an article from the Lewis Produce site too. The same thing. It was toting the idea that the virus caused an improvement in their vineyard and in their wines. So it might have been that the virus corrected an imbalance too.
So my position on that, if I made it clear, is you're not allowed to have that position.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Not from an economic standpoint.
You cannot say that I really like my kids with smallpox. Therefore, I'm going to make my little smallpox colony right here. No, there has to be some community thing that trumps individuals.
We're striving for Down syndrome in my family.
Yeah, right. It's really important to us. Right. We want to maintain. I want something just like Grandma was. So that's that. All right, we're going to walk back, or we can walk around still, but we're going to see some new type of vineyard over here. But any other things? You come within a bag of questions at all?
I really wanted to see that fertilization thing, but I guess we're not gonna. Not gonna happen. Yeah. But is it something that screws on there? They pack with a powder or something, or
it's
liquid?
Fertilizer.
It's liquid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it comes as liquid. We don't have to dissolve it.
Oh, you don't even have to mix it. Okay. Yeah.
So you gotta, when you do liquid fertilizer, you gotta know how much it weighs.
That's something my ag commissioner, when we're talking to him, I got to get him to permit me so I can go buy the commercial chems that I want, for the vineyard. So
it's cheaper.
Yeah. So you experimenting with different cover crops in here?
People have, and I get into a fight every now and then with the people who, not a fight, it's a discussion of people who we spend a lot of time thinking about cover crops. My primary concern here is erosion. I plant cover crops, or I allow native vegetation to exist to hold the soil in place.
Until after the rains are done for the year, then you come in and till?
We disc twice.
Disc, yeah.
We finished the second one now. The first one was kind of rough. The second one comes with a ring roller, so we're smoothed out now.
So they don't even use weed whackers in here? Oh, no, you showed a mower, I think, in one of your pictures. They do have a...
We mow before
it
we
eats,
disc.
it chews it or something?
Yeah, right. We mow before we disc.
Yeah.
So those are 3 things that we do. Well, 2 things. We did 1 twice.
Would you ever rip?
Not after the vineyard is planted. It could be part of vineyard preparation, not after the vineyard is planted.
Yeah.
There have been, you know, as you sit around and you think about what I might be able to do to my vineyard, there are people who have proposed and people who have done ripping in a vineyard that was too vigorous or to disrupt the roots, break the roots off. Then you're going to extract less water. The vineyard's not going to grow so much. It's a really short-lived solution. The vineyard will make roots like that.
Yeah.
Be back in business before you
2
know it.
months, yeah.
Yeah.
What about determining water in the vines when you don't have access to some of the more fancy equipment?
Yeah, the high-tech stuff you have.
Yeah.
Listen, I
If
tell
you
you,
go out in the vineyard, you're like, okay, then use water or not?
Right.
Well, I guess you
see to a
can
certain
certainly
degree.
tell if you have wilting leaves. That,
you can see to a certain degree.
But even the 10 rows, like you say, it's a week behind what's really happening.
yeah.
Right. No, and tendrils are not only a week behind, but they're subject to just the time of the year that it is.
Yeah.
When I'm most concerned about maintaining water is going to be maybe from August out or July out, I guess. I'm almost always, my gut is to give water before I probably should, because I'm just like, I want to keep this vine happy and in good shape. And that's where the pressure bomb, I can go out there and make some measurements, and then I have, but the pressure bomb, you know, honestly, it's $3,000, $4,000, I don't know what it costs now. Last time I bought one was $3,000. Maybe you guys, 4 growers and up some road can buy it, and you only use it once a week anyway, so you get it on Thursday.
Share it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's no big deal. Well, it doesn't have to be.
But how much do you use your gut, and how much do you kind of calculate stuff in terms of how much water to apply? Are you mainly like looking at the vines and thinking, I should do this, or you've got a spreadsheet and working stuff out?
I have a spreadsheet, yeah. But the amount of water that I apply is slightly gut. When I put it on, it's because I took a measurement and I said now it's time to put it on. So then the amount of water that you put on replaces some water that's in the soil. The plant responds in some way to that. If you remeasure it again afterwards, you see whether that changes what you're after. And then it's about how long does it last. Then you keep on measuring to see how long it lasts, and you give it some more.
You sent us a link a couple days ago to a website that has an online tool for
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
That's actually at Rhonda's
That's her tool.
website.
Oh, okay.
That's a nice spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Although figuring out your actual ET of your area is really difficult if you're not near a weather station that's on there.
You know,
Yeah.
just go to a similar site, not necessarily adjacent, but that's kind of my kind of place, right? See what kind of numbers they have, right? And you're going to see, well, they're all about 0.2 per day in July, and okay, so let's put that in there. Then once again, okay, use that, let it chug out some number, put the water on, see how the plant is. You'll
And
see.
it's modified over time with experience.
Right.
Yep.
Right. I think mostly what you're doing is you're understanding how the dam system works, and so that when you put something into the system, you know what you're looking at as a response. I'm learning.
How much soil variability is there in this?
Huge.
Huge.
Like right now, it's pretty heavy clay. You can see all these chunks and rocks.
Yeah, it's real
Many of
hard.
that stuff as we were walking around before. This is the corner of very heavy clay. It makes a huge difference in irrigation. Huge difference. I got one little corner back over there where I actually went and punched a whole bunch of more emitters into that area. It wasn't any bigger than from here, four or five rows. Because of the heavy clay, when it gets a little bit dry, clay holds onto the water, the plant can't get any out of it, and I got to water that one more.
I'm on a hill, and you apply water at the top of the hill, and you see it coming out the sides or the bottom of the hill. It's leaching back out. So it's always wet down near the bottom, and it's
So
always
very
dry up at the
shallow
top.
soil?
It is, yeah.
That hard pan from
Well, it's Sierras, it's.
Yeah.
I'm right next to a quarry.
Well, so,
That's how hard
I
it is.
don't know. So, in that case, I'm going to say what you should be doing probably is a little bit of water a lot of times.
Yeah, like every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the total is going to be the same as if you put it on all the time. You just can't do it that way.
Yeah.
And in those kind of soil things, when you get shallow like that, the advantage of depth is there's water down there, and there's a place for the roots to grow. If there's no place for the roots to go because it's shallow, a lot of people now are thinking about very small micro sprinklers as opposed to
Drips.
So we're wetting a bigger area, so the roots can be encouraged.
So they can grow outwards instead of down. Yeah.
Well, there's nowhere to go down.
Yeah. Oh, it's rock down there.
That's right.
I dig with a post hole digger, and I get down a couple of feet, and then I have to start using like a bar to chip it.
Yeah. Get out the dynamite.
Yeah.
That's what they did, those old guys.
That's what they talk about for the pool guys. I was asking about, building a swimming pool up there. They're like, you're better off going above ground because you need dynamite to put one in ground.
Yeah. It's pretty unattractive.
And what about different clays? Do they behave differently with water?
Yeah. Well, some of them.
So they got like red clays and white clays in different spots. So.
So most of Napa is clay, is it? Or it's
no.
Yeah, it's
Pretty diverse.
No. Yeah, it's actually very different stuff. Of course, we have the obsidian too.
That vineyard up there looks kind of dry and not really working on the hill up there. That's not your vineyard.
Love those guys.
Looks like they got a lot of kill something. So the fans that we see out here, that's all for frost management? You turn those on when it's you get frost?
Sounds like a World War II one.
Airplanes, yeah.
So how does that work? That just keeps the air moving?
Well, the idea is that the warmer air aloft and then down below, and so it's mixing the warmer air with the cooler air. I always wanted to, but I never. It's one of those things. Good idea, but look at the Simba station and see if I can actually see the change in temperature as a result of when the fans turn on or not.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't done it.
Yeah, because you made a comment about the overhead excesses and overhead sprinkler systems in Napa. You're really only getting like a degree or two cool down in the summer.
Well, you can get more than that.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh. 5 degrees?
Well, yeah, 5 or 10.
10? Oh, wow. You
Evaporator-
go from 90 to 80?
Well, no, we're not going to turn on until we get about 100.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Evaporative cooling is a huge, powerful thing.
Yeah. You're throwing away water and electricity. You guys don't have any solar out here. Well, you do on the little remote stations, but
Wow, this is interesting here. Guys didn't notice it. So here's one we cut off. Because it had Eutypa. This whole damn thing has Eutypa. You see these leaves?
oh yeah,
That's
so
probably something you have to stick out the whole plant.
the mine's got to go
you're
out.
going to see yank it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't work.
You were hoping that you were
Below,
good down below
the
there.
infection, but it wasn't below the infection.
Where's the root graft and the varietal changeover happen though? I mean, it seems like you're awfully low there.
Yeah, we are. This one's actually down here.
Oh, that's
See it right
at
there?
ground level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, a big deal is, see that one's high? See that one with that knob right there? That knob right there, and this
Yep.
one's low.
Yeah.
A big deal around here is that if you buy bench graft, you have the roots, you have this trunk of rootstock, then you have a little tiny nub of scion that's going to grow up and make your plant. You put it in the ground, you put a carton on it, something like that, and it grows up, and the bud, that scion bud might be right around in this neighborhood. But if you buy a rootstock, you buy something of similar length, and you plant it. And so along that rootstock, you're gonna have to put a bud into it. So you're gonna lose some of the length right there. And here's another trick: is that when the guys put the buds on, they have to cover them with soil. And so if you're the guy with the shovel covering it with soil, and you guys working as a team, you want to put the bud high or low? Low. And so that's just something you learn that pretty quick. That you got to keep telling. Bud them high, bud them high, bud them high, bud them high. They bud them low. We cultivate here. We over time kick dirt in this direction unless we pull it back, and before you know it, that graft union is touching the soil. You have a scion root, and you no longer have a rootstock.
Yeah. Wow. Now your varietal is exposed. It's as if it's on its own root.
This is on its own root. Rootstock will die.
Yeah.
You gotta be careful in freezing climates because you got to protect that graft union. You got to mound over in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Then you got to go through with the grape hoe, uncover it. Then you got to hand hoe it around, or your scions. They'll cover it up.
Yeah.
It can be very cold, like around the Great Lakes in New York and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And that's why I live in California now.
That's why we're all here.
You say you'd be lucky to get 25 years. What is the main thing that you start to see when it
U-type?
So it is U-type again.
U-type is the term that I use for all trunk diseases. We're pretty much here. It's bottom type.
What kind of peak tons per acre do you get on your best crop harvest?
That's a sad story right there. I haven't posted any of that stuff up there, have I? So over time, two things have happened. The acreage has gone down, sugar's gone up. Yield has gone down, sugar's gone up.
Higher bricks but less tons?
Yeah, and there is some kind of a link there. Oh, I was going to show you how long some of these things can get sometimes. This older vineyard, really long arms.
Oh yeah.
That just happens over time, no matter what you do.
Right.
The older it gets.
We're okay with it, yeah. Sort of.
Are you getting anything better than 8 tons per acre? Or?
I wish I could get 4.
So you're in the 2, 3.
Yep.
Yeah, that's low.
I think I'm going to get 4 this year, though. That's my hope. Get good bloom, set it up. But here's the deal.
But you're getting
where we
$5,000 or
right
$6,000 a ton.
Well, okay, but still, 6,000 times 5 is a lot more than 6,000 times 4.
True.
So I was going to say. Oh, so as the grapes get more sugar to them, they get lighter, because past about 24 bricks, or maybe before that even.
The accumulation of sugar is due to just
nothing, just desiccation.
Water,
yeah, it's just desiccation. So when you're thinking about this, what are you grapes doing? To me, it's accumulation versus desiccation, right?
So I bought some late harvest Barbera a few years ago, and then I didn't last year. And the guy told me, "Oh, well, that's okay. We never got to the bricks you'd want anyway." And I said, "Well, we're just talking evaporation." I mean, it's like he's expecting to get to like 34 bricks,
Oh, yeah, right.
or something,
That's why you can, tactilize essentially.
You can, and people have concentrators. Why that?
Well, you could do that, yeah. Yeah, you could just remove water, right? So you could harvest it at the same time you're harvesting everything else, and then just process it.
So there's a rule here that kind of limits yield, and that is no grape cluster can touch another one.
No grape what?
No grape cluster can touch another one.
That's your rule?
That's the valley rule.
Oh.
Why is that a rule?
It's not a rule. I mean, it's the way when grape clusters, people talk about fruit on top of fruit or something like that. That if this is like this, then there's necessarily 2 surfaces in there that aren't getting in the same environment. They're getting any light, that sort of thing.
Too much pressure.
So these guys, if you ask most of the winemakers, I asked them this point blank the other day. Do you want to have every single berry exactly the same, or is there value in diversity in the fruit? And they mostly all say everyone exactly the same. I think because they can't control the diversity probably. Because You know, I'm a firm believer. I really, why do you blend wines then? Right?
Yeah.
It's the same idea.
Well, the idea
But you
then
can't-
is
but you can't
to
control
do
it.
it under controlled circumstances.
Right. You can't control
Yeah.
it.
But then again, it seems like having that slightly diversity in your fruit can give you a greater complexity throughout your fermentation and things too.
Right.
You have
So you know, if you take
some more ripe and some
so you take it
less.
one way or another. But so anyway, like this, they're not going to do with it. So you look down these rows, and you realize pretty quick that your limitation is astrophysical space. Where are you going to put these clusters? So here's what I'm going to do now. The tradition, and every single time you hear the story, people tell you that you train spurs along the. Maybe it's better over here. It's over here. You train spurs that are all sticking straight up in the air.
Depends on which side.
So they're all sticking straight up in the air, right? Which means that this is the width of the place that the fruit can be. If I had a way to train them like this, then I just all of a sudden made that fruiting area wider, with me more physical place to put the clusters. So I'm thinking about trying to take it instead of taking these arms like this and using 2 bud spurs, using 1 bud spurs. You keep every single position. The problem with that is going to be eutypa, because I know that I prune off some eutypa just by cutting off that basal, that apical shoot. So if you get an infection here, and I cut off even that much, a lot of times I'm cutting off eutypa. But if that spur is just only 1 bud long like that, then I'm gonna have that infection. That's gonna be a problem. But somehow the way to get more frequent, so that you don't get 2 shoots on top of each other, which is also a thing, right? So they're like this, but they're like this. So they're all going like this, and so you have twice as much, not twice as much, but some amount more place to put the fruit.
But you could have done quadrilateral.
I could have done, but that's quadrilateral means what? I got to have this big ass thing up here.
Yeah, a lot more
I
trellis.
got to get more. Well, but I got a problem with my equipment.
Now
in
you're
there.
encroaching on the next
You
row.
want to see a quadrilateral?
Yeah.
We can go see a quadrilateral trellis if you want.
You have one?
Yeah.
Oh, I would be interested actually.
Now, the spurs are coming up every other spot where they
Right.
could.
Right.
So why don't people do every spur 1 instead of every other 2?
Well, I think the eutypa thing is one of the big issues. Like I said, one's a problem with that, right? But you know, that twice as much pruning almost, right? I'm going to cut one off, and then I'm going. And it's twice. It's more training. It's no doubt about it, it's going to be more intensive, right? The natural thing is want them to go up. You're going to want to try select shoots that are kind of more on a plane, and let them kind of fall over also, and they'll start to they'll aim that way.
So back here, you tilled every other row. Why that?
Same thing. That's the only block that's not tile drained. So that has a lot more surface water than the other ones do. So those are so when water shoots across here, it shoots across there at a rate way more than it shoots across here. Yeah.
It's not going to absorb because it's so much groundwater.
Right. Once it gets saturated, it's just flying across.
So you're hoping that the cover crop
It
is
slows
going
it
to
down.
Pull some water out, or
No, it slows down the water flow.
from getting in.
No, from going across
Oh,
the surface.
Oh, okay.
And so we put those wattles there across the roads for the same reason, try to slow the water down
Oh, yeah.
from going across there. It's off now because we're done. We'll put them out back again in next winter. So you know, it looks like much slope here, but the water can really.
So I could do that on my hillside. I could, if I had the rows going across the hill, I could do something like that to try to retain the water.
Yeah, but I mean, if you got a decent slope, I mean, I don't think you're going to be very.
It's not going to help.
effective with that. Well, it'll help, but I don't think it'll make a difference.
It'll hit that carve.
Right.
It'll start going right underneath of it.
Well, and I was kind of thinking I'm going to do east-west down the hill anyway. So yeah.
So neighbors here are planting a vineyard, which I posted some stuff this morning before you guys got here. So that's some pictures of that if you want to, or we can go to the south station and look at a quadrilateral trellis. Kind of got either one of those things that you wanted to do.
That's a drive somewhere.
Yeah, one's a drive, one's a walk.
Walk.
Okay.
Save fuel.
Yeah, carbon footprint.
But So let me just, as long as we're not going to see it, let me comment. I think that the trellis I'm most frequently saying this is wonderful is the quad. It's you have just beautiful light throughout the whole canopy, the whole acreage, really. You know, I'm capturing a lot of sunlight, so there's none on the light, which means that, you know, I should be able to get more yield because my photosynthesis per acre, per unit land area is greater. It should be fantastic.
So,
but it pokes people in the eye.
Yeah, it's hard to manage.
You hit your head on it. You know, the tractor drivers don't like it. I got to keep those guys happy. That's my humble little house.
So they provide that for you.
Yeah.
Life is good.
By angling those spurs though too in a certain direction, you could, on either side, could affect how the sun hits the fruit as well, right?
That's right. Yeah.
I just visited Icy Vineyard, and they have an interesting thing to do.
Do they? Okay, we're going to walk along the roadway here of my dirt.
Cross and we don't get run over.
How many different producers buy fruit from the...
Look at the I'll talk to you. Look at the number of redone
Oh yeah, look at that.
vines in here.
Oh gosh.
That's what it's all about.
You've had a lot of problems with your typa.
These aren't mine. But it's we as the community have a lot of problems with these types.
Do you find that there's more problems with the typa and proximity to the oak trees versus probably what you could get from them? Or
I don't think so.
Have you had any problems with the oak root rot?
No.
I think I found some
I've
on
had
my property.
experience, but not here.
Yeah, I think I found some on
You're
my
gonna
property.
find it at your place, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I've got.
And then sayonara. I mean, that's bad news stuff right there.
Yeah.
Nothing you can really do about it.
Yeah, you just rip everything out. And,
if you can rip everything out.
and then napalm and.
No, forget it. I don't get it.
Oh, I had a question about what's the term? Fumigation. You mentioned you mentioned something about fumigated, vineyards before you plant or something like that. And I was talking to my ag commissioner about that, and he was like, "Oh, you don't want to do that.
I didn't suggest
It's really expensive, and you got."
I didn't suggest it.
Okay, well, it was mentioned. I think you just I forget where, but you said something about fumigated soil or something, or you guys haven't. You're not doing that.
If it's not me talking, it's not necessarily me talking.
Oh yeah, it was. That's true. It was one of the other lectures. You're right.
So when I showed you those pictures of that,
It was, yeah.
of that big tractor with the big giant shank that was GPS guided. Okay, so this is one of the vineyards that it did. You can see the ridge that it created, and right along that ridge are those plastic knives. And so they rip exactly where the road's going to be, and nothing else.
Wow. And then they put in a little marker where they think they're going to put vines.
So the orange ones, the flags that are red flags that are out there, those are transit marked markers, and the rest of them are the guys still stretching wire to mark the vineyard off of those as the place. But I always think I'm going to repeat myself. You listen to this all over again because this is what I said this morning. But I just like you to rotate your head. The lines are just exactly right, no matter what direction you look at them. You know.
Yeah.
You can't. If you didn't see the end post, you couldn't tell which way the roads go.
They've got the spacing exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just the guys just did an incredible job. So I made this comment on Nick too. I think it's kind of clever. what we use for these markers is plastic knives, picnic knife, whatever it is,
Oh
right?
yeah, huh?
And you know those guys do those demographic things where they say how many this per capita they use in this area, and you go out more Coca-Cola in Bakersfield and San Francisco, for instance. I don't know what they think about the number of plastic knives we use.
Oh gosh.
Well, we use a lot of plastic knives. No forks, knives.
The echo freaks are going to be over here hammering on you.
Right. We don't, and I don't get the kinds made out of potatoes.
Yeah, potato knives.
How far down do these inputs have to go?
We could have showed you. There's some over there. They're about 3 feet in the ground. They have what the pipes are from oil wells that are pieces of oil stem, they call them, I think. Stem tubing or whatever it is.
Leftover.
Yeah, and you can weld what we call a spade, or it's a rectangular piece on the bottom to keep it from moving. And you can put one, or you can put two, or none.
So they drive these?
Depending on kind of soil you have. These are all driven by hydraulic.
Yep.
All the stakes in the vineyard are going to be driven by hand.
With like a tea stake, one of those things you.
Yeah. They call them Nino.
Yeah.
Nino. I don't know why they call them that, but they call them. And the guys wear helmets when they do it because
It's noisy.
they're banging themselves on the head all the time.
Yeah, I've got a scar from
Yeah.
a long, tall 8-foot one. I just went
Yeah.
up too far and
Yeah.
hit myself in the head full force.
Yeah.
Oh god.
I've seen people pass out on that one.
I didn't pass out. I thought I could take on place after that problem.
When are they going to put the vines in?
I would suspect they're going to put the vines in about a couple of weeks. There's another vineyard that's by the same company that's out there, another place, and there's some pictures I showed where. Okay, this will be by Wednesday. This will be a vineyard.
But these are green. They're not.
These
They're
guys
not dormant.
probably going to use greens.
It's too late to do dormant.
No, it's not.
Isn't it?
No.
Huh?
Is there better timing for dormant?
Yeah, earlier than others because they have to take the time to actually get going.
Yeah.
Right, and that's going to take a couple of weeks all by themselves.
So that they can handle winter.
Right. So they'll pound those lines. Those are the line stakes. In between the line stakes will go those rebar stakes. They're going to string pipe down these things like in a day. They'll have all the irrigation pipe down and all the trellis wire.
Before they plant.
Yeah.
In a day?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. They spring the wire with the tractor two lines at a time and go pretty fast. And then they string the pipe with an ATV or could be the tractor. Doesn't matter. Something that can drag it along.
But then they still got to dig a hole next to the rebar, right?
For the vine?
For the vine.
Oh, that's going to happen as they're planting. I mean,
Like with a post hole digger, or
no.
They got machinery.
that's machinery. Okay.
Besides, they've already ripped it too, so you can come with a shovel.
Well, that's true. It's pretty soft now. Yeah.
So these are those notch line stakes for the wire to go in for the DSP system. So we know what they have going here. Yeah, those rows are just right on the money, and it's amazing. That guy, the tractor driver with the big shank, he wasn't thinking about it. He just was turning around and going down the next one, and the computer was driving the tractor.
That's amazing.
You couldn't steer something like that.
You try, but you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the machinery's actually putting the knife in also?
No.
That's somebody's doing that by hand. They're walking
Right,
along
so
behind them or something.
Those transit marks, those are fixed, and then what they take is pieces of metal with a wire strung in between them, and the wire has what they call little buttons or something like that, welded spots or crimped on
Some sort of
something
marker.
or another.
Yeah.
That's the marker on the spacing. So they get between they get between the transit marks, get that wire tight, and they put the knives in. You couldn't do it as well as they do.
Yeah.
I mean, what they do.
I'm going to try to learn on a very small scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, our vineyard planted in the 80s. It looks pretty straight, but if you drive a tractor down, like I've done hedging in there.
Yeah.
So you got the hedge where it comes up like so, and you have to keep your hand on the thing and go like this as the rows kind of come together. It's like just because it looks straight, but it's not really straight. Yeah.
So really, the wire is the way to plant vineyards. Even the little ones or big ones have wire that's marked.
Get the wire up first. Yeah.
Well, no.
Oh.
The wire is what you're using as a tool to mark the vines.
It's like a ruler that you're using.
Right, and it has painted or welded little buttons on it.
So they're moving this piece of wire as they go?
Well, the first thing you do is you anchor one end of it into the ground, and you take the other wire to the other end where you know it's these two places, right? You don't know anything about it in between, but you know those two places. And one guy over here and one guy over there, and they lean on that wire, get it as tight as you can possibly get it. With the one button laying over the one space that you know, and then all the other places have to be there. It has to be straight.
Yeah, I see.
You can't do it with string or anything like that. Anything that stretches at all, wires, got to use wire.
Yeah.
So before we started today, I was telling a couple other guys there that this Tuscan winery up in my area, he planted the really low. He has a really low cordons, and it's a really compacted. The spacing's really narrow, and he had a picking crew come in, and the foreman comes in, takes one look at his vineyard, and says, "Don't even want to do it." Walked away. They just left because they would have had to bend way over to pick all the fruit and everything, and
Time to get the burritos out.
Yeah, pay him more.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, you pay them a premium, right?
Well, when we got, like we have data vines where you have to count the clusters and put them in a box, all that kind of stuff. During harvest time, I mean, that's when they're making money, right? Making money by the box. So we pay them by the hour and by the weight.
Oh.
Both at the same time in order to get them, because it's important that they want to do what they're doing, otherwise they're going to do a bad job of it. We can't back data.
Yeah.
So we pay them both ways.
But at 6K, you got a margin there that's pretty good. So.
No.
No, yeah, it's.
I mean, I'm telling you, the people here get paid, but they also spend the money. I mean, we have crews coming in through these vineyards all the time.
Yeah.
We've been through one thinning pass already. We're gonna go to another thinning pass to clean that up a little bit. We're gonna pull these right after set. That's a whole other crew going through the vines. Take a little break for a while. Then we're probably gonna come back and adjust crop down. There'll be we'll look at the crop at veraison if there are clusters that are behind and green while the other ones are still red. We're gonna take those off. We spend a lot of time in the vineyard, and these guys here,
irrigation, fertilization.
These guys get paid twice as much as any place else.
Right.
They get paid twice as much as even Sonoma County.
Yeah.
By contrast, like up there, we get in the vineyard to you do pruning, then you do the suckering and thinning out the shoots at that one trip.
Yeah.
Then you back in. Really, the next time I cruise in there is maybe thinning if the crop's heavy.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's harvest.
Right.
Yeah, that's your crew times. The rest of the time is just the two vineyard guys that just do the mowing and managing the irrigation and all that.
It's like a full-time job. Yeah.
So the vineyard guy provides our labor and all that sort of thing. Also has his own vineyards. How much do you think he would tell me it costs him to farm an acre of his own vineyard?
A lot, yeah.
$7,000 an acre, just management fees. That's labor. That's no parts.
So you're losing. That's a losing.
And then the land here is like $350,000 an acre. If you have to pay that, and you're getting, even if you're getting $10,000 a ton, you're only getting 3 tons.
Yeah.
No,
You can't make a living.
cannot make a living. These guys do.
Wow.
Can't do it. This is Fantasyland. This is Disneyland. There's no economics that work here.
Yeah. Well, $100 bottles of wine, maybe, but
Well,
From the
then you
fruit,
start
but-
adding some. You start adding some value onto it, someplace or another.
Yeah.
But there's not that many of those.
No.
No, most of it's in the 30 to 40.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
foothills, 20, 30s.
Well, but in this
Expensive,
neighborhood,
but,
even
yeah.
in this neighborhood, there $50 bottles of wine is, I think, it's probably average. And by the old rule of thumb, that should be $5,000 tons of grapes, and it's more than that.
Yeah.
I've heard some growers, like for the really high end, start charging like a percentage fee of the bottle. Like when people start going like $500 a bottle, I was like, hey.
Right. So us as growers have to figure out a way to get you as a winemaker to charge more and then pay me more out of that. So there's some people say, unless you're gonna sell your wine for at least $75 a bottle, I'm not selling you grapes. And then I'm going to get some of that out of you. There's some growers that say, I'm going to tell you whether your wine's good enough to sell with my name on it. So we got to figure out a way that we can market ourselves as growers too, in the same way that wineries market themselves.
Mm-hmm. It's really starting with good fruit. That's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, I think once the wine grapes to the winery, there's not much you guys can do.
Yeah. You can try, but you're probably fooling yourself.
You can screw it up.
Yeah.
Why was this vineyard turn out? Was it?
Lethal.
Probably the one where we got that nice map that's in our course notes. Huh?
That
Showing leaf roll spreading from year to year.
oh, that's
Oh yeah.
mine or this one over here? The Mandati one? I don't know. I don't remember which one I showed you.
Huh.
Well, we can go over to the other side to the south. We still have enough time if you want to go to the South Station and the quad
The
trails.
quad? Oh,
We have to drive over.
I'll drive over there.
Okay.
How
Carpool or something?
often do you sulfur? Once a week? Once every 2 weeks?
Every 10 days.
10 days?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
What do you think of the two?
Huh?
What do you think? Pros and cons?
Oh, I think it was a really good job. And the thing, what a good thing about it is it's also eradicant, not just preventive. If you use powdered dusting sulfur, it doesn't do anything about an infection that you might already have. But if you use wettable sulfur, then it does.
So I'm talking to the guy at Farm Bureau, and he says, "Oh, you don't even want to buy one of our sprayers. Our sprayers they only go 60 psi. You need something that's like 200 psi, and you really need special equipment because you're going to mix up this sulfur and liquid, and then you're going to go out there with a backpack sprayer or something like that, and it's all going to settle in there, and you won't get even distribution, and you won't get underneath. You really want to be mechanized. You want a vehicle sprayer, and
What's he telling you? He don't have anything to sell you? I never.
I was shocked. Yeah, I was shocked because I know
Telling you it.
I know several boutique wineries up there that they're using backpack sprayers and
Well, when I had a little vineyard in Santa Cruz, I had a backpack sprayer for dust.
Yeah.
And that thing blows hard.
Yeah.
And then you can get into the canopy. If you get into a position where you screw it up and you end up with mildew, then you've got a problem because you can't get rid of it with that.
Yeah.
Then you have to get some kind of wettable solution to it. But Zinfandel doesn't get. Zinfandel is pretty immune to, not immune, but you can get by with Zinfandel a lot easier than some other varieties mildew wise. Like cars are coming down pretty fast right now. 2 cars are coming down pretty fast.
Are they? Oh yeah. And one's passing. I think I'll wait.
Huh? Oh right. Well, okay, yeah, but then, I got something else to do with that.
She waved at us anyway.
So do you have any recommendations for afternoon wine tasting?
Well, you can go up to Silverado and Silverado Trail because they're one of our bigger customers. You can go to Plum Jack on the Oakville Cross. They're one of our customers. Okay. And they do a great job. And Plum Jack's a really nice experience. Very different than the Silverado experience.
So those are both off the main drag here, though?
And in Yountville, in downtown Yountville, is where you can get a sandwich and stuff too. Also, there's a tasting room for Cornerstone. Check out Cornerstone.
Oh, okay. Otherwise, head over to Berryessa and.
I got to be over there pulling out gardening this afternoon. I've been told. Yeah, if you want to head over there, I'll be there this afternoon. At the winery on 128.
Right on the road, the main road there to the lake.
Right. So I'm going to take this one over here. I can take one person with me, and you guys follow me.
Okay.
I'm gonna. I've got a ride.
Oh, 11.